I always feel like I am dangerously close to stepping into Koreaboo territory, but I can't not consume Korean media. Hey there, creepy peeps, I'm Nightmare Maven and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I talk about horror movies, books, do live streams, other fun stuff, all spooky all year round. So if you end up liking this video, maybe subscribe. I'm currently working on a video about my favorite Korean horror movies / Korean horror movies that I think are essential. And I thought I would watch Bedevilled finally. It's been on my watch list for ages, and I know people have mentioned it in internet lists talking about the Korean horror thriller movies that are must-sees or classics. And holy shit, I can see why. I am 100% not okay after watching this movie. So the movie starts by introducing us to Haewon, who after let's call it a violent outburst at work, is told to take a week off. She travels back to the extremely isolated island of Mudo, where she spent her childhood. She reconnects with her childhood friend Boknam, who we learn is horribly abused physically, sexually, and emotionally by this island community. So fair warning, if you haven't seen this yet, one, I'm gonna get into all the spoilery details, so maybe don't watch this video first. But before you leave, maybe check a content warning for this because it is rough. You have to sit through a lot of terrible shit in the first half of this movie until Boknam finally, rightfully snaps. And I think I've seen enough of these movies at this point to recognize that I feel like part of the point of these movies is to make viewers feel conflicted, like murder is wrong, but also these people deserve it. And I'm past that point. I visibly perked up and got excited when Boknam finally started massacring people. The ultimate theme of this movie, at least how I saw it, was that bystanders and enablers are just as bad as abusers themselves. Sure, seeing Boknam be outright abused by her husband and his brother is bad, but how fucking awful are the older women or the aunties of the island who not only let it happen, but encourage it. It's a masterclass in how the older generations perpetuate the cycle of abuse by teaching the children they're raising in the ways of these patriarchal, super strict gender roles. And I don't think Boknam going after the aunties first was unintentional. She was cutting off the cycle of abuse at its source. Then we have Haewon, who at first I thought was a bitch, but really she's a coward, which ends up being an extension of this theme of the cycle of patriarchal abuse. It's other women who stand by and do nothing. And this is the part of the argument where honestly we could probably go back and forth all day long. Haewon is clearly aware of how women are treated in society and is afraid, and that is why she doesn't speak out or stand up for anybody, because she's protecting herself. By doing so, she is also perpetuating the cycle of abuse by not standing up for other women. It's the most sickening part of the movie when it's revealed that Haewon saw exactly what happened to Boknam's daughter and then told the police that she was sleeping and saw nothing. And Boknam is such a tragic character clinging to Haewon because she projects this image of an independent woman, especially when we see her at the beginning of the film. She's got her own apartment, she's confident, she's put together. And I think that's why she still feels an attachment to her even when she comes back after all this time, after ignoring all of her letters and cries for help, by the way, which is just the last reveal in a line of reveals that show that Haewon was never a good friend to Boknam. Sorry, not sorry for the long rant, but so many Korean horror movies that I've seen, it's not just scary and gory and disturbing, but it makes me feel things. Damn, this movie got me so worked up. And it is so well put together. Starts off with Haewon to kind of throw you off and kind of focus on her and make us come to a judgment about her character before we get to see her true nature, which is only revealed when we get to the island and are introduced to Boknam and all of the horrific abuse that she suffers on a daily basis. The movie gets frustrating at this point. I almost turned it off because I wasn't seeing the point yet and it was just too hard to watch. And with that first kill, the movie takes the sharpest of turns and then floors it. I went from frustrated to completely invested in a single millisecond. The actors also did an amazing job. I was so invested in their characters, the bad and the good ones alike. I should say good one. The only good character is Boknam and her daughter. That's it. But I was feeling for Boknam, frustrated with Haewon, completely furious at the aunties, and disgusted by the men. Really did an amazing job. You could have told me this was a documentary and I might believe you. I also love how gritty and sweaty the movie was. It kind of reminded me of Rob Zombie movies a little bit in that way. Like when you got to the island, you just knew something terrible was happening there, you know? And this also might be the most like folk horror Korean movie I've seen. Movies like The Wailing definitely fit the bill also for folk horror, but Bedevilled really went hard on like the isolation factor in this super duper rural town. Really added to the terror of feeling trapped, which is exactly how Boknam feels. I think it's pretty clear I loved the movie. It is really hard to watch in the beginning though, I have to say. I would absolutely recommend it, and if you end up watching my Korean horror video that I'll put out next week, this movie is definitely going to make an appearance now. So if you've seen Bedevilled, of course, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Become a creepy peep today, and I will see you... What day is this video going up? I'll see you soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.